Once again, time for another episode of the Kanika Sports Show, everybody. I am your host, Kenny Time, on this microphone, and I am joined once again, as always, by the one. She is the only. Drumroll, please. Nika, the producer, everybody. Welcome to the show, Nika.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Kenny.
Hello, live from our kitchen, everybody.
This is not basement.
Yeah, that's true. We're a level above the basement.
We graduated. We leveled up.
Indeed. And, we have all these accommodations handy, coffee, drinks, water, whatever we need, we got it. And
of course.
That's a good thing because we got a lot to talk about today. It is, once again, time to get into some WWE World Wrestling Entertainment affairs. We are, of course, speaking about Raw. We watched Raw on Monday on Netflix. And before we get into all of this, Nika, I just want to take a quick moment and remind everybody that Nika and I are somewhat new, again, to WWE. I, of course, grew up in the late 80s and 90s watching during the WrestleMania 5 through 8 era, and then again in the late 90s, early 2000s during like the Stone Cold, Steve Austin, The Rock, Triple H era, as I call it. And so those are my heydays before this.
Okay.
But it's been literally kind of 20 plus years since I followed it on a regular basis. So it is kind of like being brand new to the brand again, and yet it is all familiar, and
yet new.
You recognize things, and I'm able even to make predictions. If you watched our previous episode, boop, nailed it. So looks like someone still recognizes the writing tendencies of the WWE and some of the more intricate storyline revelation things. And we'll get into all of it here on this episode, but just kind of wanted to lay the foundation once again for everybody and give a little bit of understanding about where we're coming from with all of this. We do not know all the history of all the storylines. For example, I don't know the history between CM Punk and John Cena. So
the feud, you mean?
The feud. I don't know the history. I don't know their whole history at all. Like, we're literally kind of, I know who John Cena is because he's been in pop culture movies and a bigger part of like the pop culture scene. But I don't really think, we had that attachment with CM Punk per se, even though he's from Chicago and I should know that.
No kidding.
But I just missed this whole era, so because he wasn't in movies and wasn't on, the same thing can be said about Seth Freakin Rollins, and we're learning just about him through the NFL draft and through other pop culture events that happen. And it's like, wow, there's a lot of crossover appeal going on with WWE. A lot of people like it. Let's check it out again. It kind of all started with the Royal Rumble this year. And it's spiraled into what we are now, which is like we're watching it kind of on a weekly basis, and we figure we might as well start talking about it.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic.
It is, and then we like talking about it,
and
actually.
It keeps our audience engaged as well, so it's good.
Well, and you, someone that doesn't come from having like watched this in the 80s and 90s and 2000s and 2010, like this is your kind of first foray into all this. So I had to explain to you what a heel means and like what it means to turn, going from good guy to bad guy, and like just teaching you the whole soap opera tendencies of it all. So
yes, I have a different perspective on things. This is my first rodeo with this.
But the one thing that stands out to me the most that you said is, if you could go back maybe and do it all over again, you might have pursued this lifestyle. Like, it looks fun to you.
Yeah. The women's wrestling, the pro wrestling is phenomenal to me. Yeah. I wish I was younger to do this, because you do have to start early. You can't just pick it up later when you like. You got to have some foundation.
I'm sure.
some athleticism to do it.
And that's probably why you see like generational talents across the board in men and women. Like Charlotte Flair, for example, comes from Ric Flair, who's an wrestling Hall of Famer in general. I think he marched on both sides of all the brands. So good guy, bad guy, WCW, WWE, whatever.
You got to embrace the good and the bad. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But, well, having said all that, just kind of wanted to relay that foundation for everybody because we took in this Raw episode on Netflix on Monday night, and we want to talk about it with you guys. We want to react to what we saw, and I'm going to kick it off with the intro to the entire show. It was the Chicago Kid, CM Punk, coming out to greet the crowd. You know, we didn't have any, you know, special circumstances, bells and whistles. This was pretty much just business. This is like old school to me, you know, just kind of no fancy introductions, no, you know, Bianca Belair from last SmackDown, for example. They didn't have any like audience attachment things going on. It was just straight to business. And we saw CM Punk come out here, and he was looking to kind of make a proclamation about his own future. And he talked about going for Cena. He talked about going for Uso even. He said, like, nothing personal.
It's just business.
He wants those belts, man. He wants to wear some hardware around his waist, as you can see in that bottom picture, or I'm sorry, in the right-hand picture. You know, he's making the emoji, I guess, of like, I want some hardware around my waist. Gesturing. He wants some hardware around his waist. So I think, you know, I don't know if that's bound for his future. This is, of course, because he has a qualifying match later this evening for Money in the Bank. But that's not the reason why I put this segment in here. I mean, obviously, it's the kickoff segment, and it got me pumped. But if you flip to the next slide, Nika, CM Punk was joined shortly on stage by Sami Zayn. And you can see they got a little up close and personal in there, and then there was maybe a little bit of tension. I don't think they've always been the bestest of friends. Again, we're still learning, everybody, so don't know the whole history of CM Punk and Sami Zayn either. But I think there's some history there. It seems like there's some history there. And as you can see, of course, those briefcases are dangling above their heads. There's a lot at stake. There's a lot going on. But at the end of the day, Nika, if you flip once again for me, please, we can see Sammy wants to he wants to wish CM Punk luck in his match tonight against, he has a qualifying match, and it's El Grande Americano, and it's AJ Styles and himself, and it's the last Money in the Bank qualifier match, and that is the last match of the evening, actually. But I wanted to bring attention to this, Nika, for one reason, because in my history, which I've just laid out for everybody in WWE, whenever there's a handshake on screen and like an alliance sort of formed, oh boy, this is not going to end well.
You can read the tea leaves.
You can read the tea leaves. This is Chekhov's gun, I guess, of WWE, right? Like, a handshake is made, it's bound to go off at some point in the future. So mark my words. This will get cashed one day. This check will get cashed, and you know there will be some kind of fallout from this moment. I just kind of want to leave it at that for now. Both of these two men will play a much bigger role in this show, in this particular episode that we'll be reacting to more later. They got a busy night for Sammy and CM Punk here.
Okay.
But before we get on with it, look, I wanted to draw attention. I was talking about these crossover appeal things going on, and Michael Cole, the lead announcer for Raw and a lot of the Peacock events for WWE, as well as Pat McAfee of the Pat McAfee Show, and also the the color commentator for WWE and Raw and Peacock events and all sorts of stuff. You also might remember he wrestled Gunther last month at Backlash because of some WrestleMania fallout from the actual commentary. But here we can see Michael Cole rocking a Indiana Pacers jersey, And that's because he lost a bet with Pat McAfee that he thought the Knicks would win and advance to the finals ahead of time.
I see.
I think
he lost.
He lost. I think the New York Knicks might have thought that as well, Nika, because they fired Tom Thibodeau, their coach. My heart goes out to him, former Bulls head coach, always liked him. And from everything I'm reading online and in social circles, he got the raw end of a short stick.
Really?
But, yeah, it sounds like it. And he was scapegoated for absolutely nothing. And that just breaks my heart even more.
Well, you know how those things work.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone's got to take the fall eventually. But tough love for the New York Knicks. You know, before Tom Thibodeau was there, they went to the playoffs one time in 19 years previously. And since he became their coach, they went to the playoffs every time.
And still he got fired.
And a lot of fans are upset about that.
No
and
kidding.
like, hey, we'd rather be in the playoffs than not in the playoffs.
Wow.
All right, side tangent there on the Knicks. But
so how long did he have to wear the Pacers shirt?
I think he wore it for the rest of the episode.
Okay.
And shout out. Looks like he at least does some push-ups or some like curls or something because he's got
some guns,
some meat on the bones.
Yeah.
And it's not the flabby kind.
He got some guns.
The midsection may be a little bit different of a situation, but we'll work on it, Michael Cole. We'll work on it. We got some advice coming up for you soon on this very show. So stay tuned, everybody. A little teaser. But let's get into it, Nika. Look who it is on the next slide. Stephanie Vaquer. I think that's how you say her name. Making her Raw debut. We first saw her during the aforementioned Royal Rumble this year. She was a participant. Now, she is from NXT, and she was, at the time of the Royal Rumble, I believe, the NXT Women's Champion.
Okay.
She is no longer because she is actually on Raw now. This was her first show, and she got this little promo teaser video that they played for her before she came out. And this caught my attention. When I was 10 years old in Chile, I discovered WWE. And I love stories like this where kids make their dreams come true. You know, like we talked about Caleb Williams wanting to be the first overall draft pick in the NFL draft. And he made his dreams come true. And here's Stephanie Vaquer making her dreams come true. Now, as you can see on the left, she's adopted some kind of horns on her head as part of her persona / character.
It's called Dark Angel. That's her nickname.
Oh, that's her nickname, the Dark Angel. Nice. She's definitely rocking some red and black, like traditional dark Sith.
Sorry for this Star Wars reference, but
hey, you'll excuse everybody. Nika's a huge fan of the Sith, especially the Darth Bane trilogy. So shout out to Darth Bane and Drew Karpyshyn, the author of those excellent books that have, for some reason, been avoided by Star Wars Disney.
Go figure.
All right. Well, Stephanie Vaquer was premiering on Raw, and there was a big reason that she was premiering on Raw this night, and that is because, as you can see on the next page, Nika, she was participating in the final women's qualifying match for Money in the Bank this Saturday. So this was the final slot. We've had the previous 5 slots decided. This is a 6-way ladder match for the briefcase. You have to ascend the ladder, and you have to claim that briefcase in order to be the winner. Inside the briefcase, as you can see above Liv Morgan's head, there is a contract that is as good as gold. You can cash it in at any time you want for a championship match of your choice.
How long can you hold on to before you cash it in? Can you hold on for a few months?
I'm unclear. You know, I have to default back to last week's Monday's Raw when Seth Rollins came out at the beginning and made all the proclamations about the future. And apparently, like, he said he could cash it in at any moment or any time, and no one would ever know or see it coming. So I think his plan, if he is to win the men's Money in the Bank match, which he is already qualified for, would be to maybe like hang on to it until people kind of forgot about it.
Oh, yeah.
And then use the element of surprise and be like, haha, suckers, I'm cashing in.
You know, that's up his alley to like hold on and then punch it in later.
Well, I mentioned Liv Morgan. She is one half of the Women's Tag Team Championship. And a lot of people online, by the way, a little salty that her and her partner, what's her name? Raquel. Thank you so kindly. Her and Raquel have not had a title defense match since they won those belts at WrestleMania. And Clock's ticking, everybody. It's been like 6 weeks. Like,
what's up with that?
What's up with that? That's what Twitter wants to know, WWE. So make sure you deliver the answers. All right. The other participant in this three-way qualifier match was Ivy Nile. You can see her on the right there. And I just got to say about this chick, man, she's buff.
Oh, she is. She's
she
got some
brings
nice arms.
The arms and the shoulders and all that definition. She lives up to the moniker, at least in the gym, of being a women's wrestler. So I got to give her that credit. Yes. And this was a fairly entertaining match to watch. No like real outside interference. I was kind of surprised about that with Liv Morgan being in there. Like, we didn't see Raquel run out to her side or Roxanne Perez. Instead, Liv Morgan took it on the face, and I'm talking about stairs.
Ooh,
and
ouch.
That was courtesy of Ivy Nile on the outside of the ring. Knocked her out pretty much cold. It left Ivy Nile and Stephanie Vaquer as like kind of the final two women standing, and that's when this happened. Nika, flip it. We got a roll-up pin here by Stephanie Vaquer after she landed the Devil's Kiss, her signature finisher move. She also did a little buck and bronco thing earlier on in the match that I think is part of. She uses her legs a lot.
Yes, she does. She's got really good moves, and they are fluid. She does a lot of kicking and rolling with her legs and slamming.
Yeah, definitely. It's it's like a little MMA-ish, maybe like karate ninja stuff.
Sure.
But it's wrestling at the end of the day, and it's entertainment performance. This was a fun match, and I think if you go back, I predicted and you predicted that Stephanie would win this matchup. In fact, so kudos to us. We win.
Yeah, check out our predictions in the previous podcast about this. We did suggest that she's going to win.
We nailed it. Stephanie was the winner. And if you flip to the next slide, Nika.
There's the 6 women.
Bam. We now have all 6 participants decided for the women's Money in the Bank matchup this Saturday in Los Angeles. It's going to be on Peacock. And we have Stephanie Vaquer. We have Alexa Bliss. We have Roxanne Perez. We have Julia. We have Rhea Ripley. And we have Naomi.
Oh, yeah.
The bad Naomi. She a bad girl.
She is, with the crocodile tears.
She did cry on command really, really well. We gave her props for that on the last episode. So worth mentioning again. But I'm excited for this. And we will be back, of course, on Friday to give you all of our Money in the Bank predictions ahead of this week's main event.
Yep. Predictions are coming.
Predictions are coming, everybody. But before we get into all that, we got a little bit more of Raw to react to. A lot more. First up, I want to get into this tweet from Luigi Wrestling and give him some courtesy here because WWE's social media account was slacking this week. I felt like last week we had way more Raw coverage on the Twitter feed. I wasn't feeling the love this week.
We are here to help out.
Lyra Valkyria, though, and Becky Lynch have this feud that's been going since the day after WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. Apparently, if you'll remember, at WrestleMania 41, her and Becky Lynch and Lyra won the women's tag team matches, and then the following night they lost them to Liv Morgan and Raquel. So here we are. That night when they lost those belts, Becky and Lyra got into it.
Again.
They just they started going at it, and they've been going at it ever since. They went at it at Backlash, and now they have another championship match here. Lyra is putting up the Women's Intercontinental Championship again, and this is getting a little bit repetitive. Mm-hmm. This is we're seeing the same thing. If you flip to the next slide, it's once again, Lyra comes out and Becky interrupts her. It's I feel like I'm seeing the same movie on repeat week after week after week on Raw. Even if when I just clip the highlights on YouTube afterwards, it's I definitely remember seeing these two just arguing in the ring, and it's it seems like it's just going on a little too long and they're stuck in repeat.
I don't think they have their story fully fleshed out. What's up with that, writers? Because they were a tag team together. One was the protege and one was the master. And now it's feud.
I guess love dies hard, and there's probably admiration on both accounts for each other. And as characters.
True, but at least they need to evolve this story or let it die.
I agree. Something new needs to happen here because it just doesn't feel real to me. I'm not buying into the feud so much. Like, something needs to happen with it. So, again, here is the card, and this is one of only 4 scheduled matches for Saturday. So I wanted to give everyone an update on it. And again, we'll be back with a prediction for this match on Friday, everybody. So watch out for that. Nika, can we take a quick pause?
Yes.
I wanted to explain to everyone that I'm feeling a little thirsty.
Oh, would you like some water?
No, I wouldn't actually.
Oh, what you got?
I brought something else.
Oh, what's that?
Well, my voice is starting to get a little scratchy, as you might hear. So I thought I could use a little Dr. Zevia, everybody.
Oh, you might put it a little up higher.
Dr. Zevia,
Matches
everybody.
your bandana.
And Dr. Zevia is, of course, my non-sugar Dr. Pepper flavored carbonated beverage. Did I say that correctly?
It is carbonated beverage, but there's no coloring and no sugar added.
Yes. As you can see, written backwards on this camera feed. There's no calories. And no, seriously, I'll read it right here for you. And it's the same that you'll see in the store. Carbonated water, natural flavors, stevia leaf extract, tartaric acid, caffeine, and citric acid. And the one thing that those ingredients have in common is that they're not going to spike Ken's blood sugar like it used to when Ken used to have pre-diabetes and weigh a little bit more than he weighs now.
Okay, that's very good.
And Ken turned into Kenny, and he's a lot younger looking, and he's a lot happier for it. And if you start drinking Dr. Zevia today, or any flavor of Zevia in your favorite flavors, I can guarantee that you'll start to feel better too and spike your blood sugar a lot less than by drinking even Diet Coke. So with that said, excuse my cracking of the can, and let's move on, please, to our next reaction on the Kanika Sports Show, everybody.
All right, I got you covered with the Raw clip.
All right, and as you can see, it was the Yeet and Yusi connection here. Sami Zayn is back after his alliance with CM Punk became official at the beginning of the show. He had to come out and join the World Heavyweight Champion, Jay Uso, in a tag team matchup against, I don't know what, we got to come up with a name for these two. Like,
they don't have an official name yet for the posses, so
yeah, I feel like back in the day, there was like 2 big dudes named Earthquake and Tugboat. And I think they became like the Colossal Connection. So they need something like that.
Okay.
Like something that binds the 2 of them together. Maybe a theme song or something. We don't have it yet. But we do have Bron Breakker and Big Bronson Reed tagging up against Sami Zayn and Jay Uso here. And before we get into the match itself, we got to turn our attentions to one Sami Zayn here. I got to give a shout out. What a fun moment this was for him. Talk about breaking it down, Nika. Do we have this up?
Yeah, yep.
Oh, boy. This is quite a hell of a dance moves here. He's really getting into the yeet dance. I love the energy.
Oh, definitely. I love the shoes.
You know, this is an underrated part of the WWE job, and being able to perform on cue like this and get into it and let it loose. And, you know, he looks like a seasoned vet over here, and it's probably going to pause at some point. But I just wanted to give a shout out to Sami and his big dance moves. This really made me smile. Nika, anything to add?
I like it a lot. I love his boots, the whole outfit. And this is the nice thing about Sami, because we don't really see him celebrating anything. You know, he's been there.
He's had a rough few weeks.
He's got rough few weeks. And this is really nice to see. He's finally coming out to his own, like, dancing and being fun.
He's been under a lot of pressure. Like, Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman put a lot of pressure on him. You know, they wanted him to go to SmackDown.
They kind of disowned him.
He looks good in blue, I won't lie. He looks good in blue.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy. Speaking of Seth Rollins, Nika, if you flip to the next slide, this match ended in a disqualification when Seth Freakin Rollins, and you need to pause it quick. Seth Freakin Rollins interfered in this match, and it was a disqualification. And so Jay Uso and Sami were declared the winners automatically. But CM Punk had to come down and rescue Jay Uso and Sami Zayn from taking further punishment from these three, I don't know what you call them, with
Posses?
the old I was,
3 men and a wife.
the fearsome threesome with the old wise man. I don't know. That's what
Man?
I'm rolling with for now because they got Heyman in their corner.
But I think it's a little bit too long of a title name.
I know, but it's all I got.
Okay, that's fine for now. We're gonna come up with something better.
It needs some work. I won't deny that.
Okay.
I'm humble, everybody. I'm your humble host, Kenny Time, on this microphone. Wow. Let's flip it to the next slide. There was some aftermath from all of this. Sami Zayn was a little bit backstage, a little, I don't know, disheveled.
Got cornered? Did he get cornered by this guy or no?
Yeah, apparently. So, again, we're coming in since Royal Rumble. I'm not familiar with all the faces and everyone yet. And literally the week-to-week, the episode-to-episode stuff is really new and recent because it was just Peacock events before that. I know. We got sucked right in. Great job, writers, I guess. Sami Zayn and Karrion Kross comes backstage to, I would say, console him with a K. I don't know, like since he's going with this whole K motif. But he consoles Sami Zayn over this loss, and he starts to tell him, like what his problem is. And Sami Zayn gets up and defends himself, and he says, "What's my problem?" And Karrion Kross proceeds to explain that he's trying to be a good guy, and he's a bad guy.
You gotta embrace your inner self.
He said, "You're playing a good guy in a world of bad guys," like implying that secretly beneath everyone in WWE, they are all bad guys. They all want the same thing. They all want to wear the belt around their waist, even though it's scripted. And so, drama. This is all. I feel like this is all building and leading to a thing and to a moment with Sami of like choice, right?
Are we dare to make a prediction with Sami?
We're getting there.
Okay.
I don't think his role is over yet.
I don't think so either. I think he's just the beginning.
Well, his tag team partner also had a confrontation backstage, Nika, and it was Jey Uso being peacefully confronted by Gunther, the German heavyweight, as I'll call him tonight. I got a different nickname for him every week, I feel like.
I thought he was Austrian.
Well, he comes from that neck of the woods, let's say.
Yes.
No offense to Austria or Germany.
No, that's actually a praise.
They used to be aligned. I mean, as one name, right? Austria, Germany.
We're not getting into history.
This might get caught out. I don't know. Don't listen to me about world history. Listen to the girl born in Europe. All right. Gunther comes out and speaks with Jey Uso in the back room, and he comes in peace, and he just says, like, Jay, like, you're not a true champion. I am. You're too involved with your friends. Like, when you're a champion, you don't have time for friends. And this is setting it up. As you can see, Jey Uso has a huge busy week.
No kidding.
He's got a title defense a week from Raw. So just 5 days away now. He has this huge title defense. And, oh, by the way, 3 days away, he's got this big tag team matchup. Sorry, I might start that over again. Oh, by the way, on 3 days away, he's got this big tag team matchup where he and the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, are teaming up. I had to get all these wrestlers straight. They are teaming up to face Logan Paul and John Cena, the undisputed WWE champion himself. I mean, that's a lot of headlining in 1 week. I mean, he just got out of this tag team match too.
It's a lot of fighting.
A lot of fighting. A lot of heroism,
Yeah.
Jey Uso has a lot of horses in his corner, if you will. He's got like CM Punk a little. I mean, they're not like friends, but they're mutually respectful of each other. He's got Sami Zayn, and he's got Cody Rhodes in his corner. So he's got a stable of high-profile talent around him.
Yes, and you know what he's got the most? The audience. Win the audience, win the champion. Don't we know that from somewhere?
We do. I believe it's the 2001 or no, it was the 2000 film Gladiator.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Win the crowd.
Strength and honor.
Strength and honor.
No,
yes.
win the crowd and you will win your freedom, right?
Yes. Exactly.
Well, Jay Uso certainly has won the crowd. One of the best entrances I've ever seen in the business. And it's no reason why he's so popular and getting elevated here in the WWE lineup. I like this, where they're going with all this. And I feel like they're setting it up possibly for Gunther to turn face. I feel like if Jay Uso is able to endure everything he's about to endure and still come out on top, then Gunther will have no choice but to like submit to his respect level.
Bend the knee.
Kind of.
Sort of.
And then does that make him a good guy now because everyone's going to be aligning against Seth Rollins, who, well, let's get into it, folks. We had one big matchup left, and it was CM Punk, who came out to start the show, taking on AJ Styles and El Grande Americano, the masked man, the mystery man. And if you watched our show on Monday, or if you caught any of our predictions, we chose El Grande, Nika, to take this match by surprise. And turns out, well, we had a funny moment in the middle of this match. CM Punk here grabbing the mask and trying desperately to yank it off of El Grande Americano. He was, of course, unsuccessful, and this may or may not have played a role in his demise. Obviously, when you're distracted by something like this, distracted, you never know how it plays into how the outcome could be affected. Nevertheless, as you can see, WWE posted what an upset. We had El Grande for the win. That's 2 for 2. I was on Raw. I predicted Stephanie. We predicted El Grande. Nika, we did good.
We did good.
We're learning. He qualifies. He was number 3, but that was not the big story in this match, Nika. If you flip to the ending slide, this was the headline on the WWE website for Raw. Raw results for 6-2. Seth Freakin Rollins, Bron Breakker, Big Bronson Reed, and the wise man Paul Heyman all standing over what appear to be like unconscious carcasses of Jay Uso, CM Punk, and Sami Zayn in the left corner there. You can barely see him, but he's there. Trust me. And the headline reads, well, Seth Rollins, Bron Breakker, and Bronson Reed beat down Jay Uso, CM Punk, and Sami Zayn. They gave him the old beatdown, Nika. They
sure did.
Oh, this was exactly what Gunther was warning Jay Uso about. Like, when you go to bat for your friends like this, you take unnecessary risk as champion and make yourself vulnerable. And it just makes me wonder, I could go 50-50 on this whole Jay Uso thing going. I don't feel like they're going to get rid of him as the champion right now, because we just know this behind the scenes details about how much merchandise he sells and like how popular he is with fans and kids. And we see it week after week. And I just don't think they want to like give him up the belt so quickly,
That's a very good point, but it wouldn't be even more enticing that he loses the belt and he has to gain it back in another fight very fast?
Well, I would say that you're not necessarily wrong about thinking in those terms. I think it's possible he could maybe resurface and challenge Gunther to a third match, like a rubber match, instead of sweeping him. Yeah, maybe Gunther does win it back temporarily until, maybe the Saturday night main event that's coming up in July. And maybe Gunther gets another month. Maybe he gets some more time on the mic. He is good on the mic as a bad guy.
He is. And I don't know what is the storyline between these two, other than just trying to get the belt back.
Well, and the other thing that you could keep in mind is maybe he does lose the belt and win it back at SummerSlam, which is probably the second biggest wrestling event of the year. It is WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, Survivor Series. At least that's what it was when I was a kid. And all of those events are still there. So
They just added more.
exactly, they just added more
Because the
on top of it monthly. It used to be like every quarter there would be a pay-per-view or some kind of culmination of storylines, and now it's a lot more fast-paced.
Fast-paced. Well, there's a lot
it
more
never
people.
stops, you know.
You have a
And
lot more people in this whole genre, and then you have a lot of more events.
You do have a lot more people, and we're going to talk about that at the end of the show with a special story.
Okay.
But before then, I just want to keep it on this slide for a second and just kind of recap here. This was the ending scene of Raw on Monday night here, and the heroes, the good guys, were left with their hands in their head, or their head in their hands, I guess. Not crying per se, but just
knocked out cold.
Knocked out cold
in the middle of the ring. Oh.
Let's flip ahead to the next slide, Nika. It is
Money
in the Bank men's matchup is all set. We have the LA Knight,
Mm-hmm.
Penta, Andrade. We have Solo Sikoa. We have El Grande Americano. And in the bottom middle there, we see, of course, the main villain, the main attraction, the revolutionary, the illusionist. I'm making up names now. Seth Freakin Rollins, my favorite on the mic. Once again,
visionary.
The visionary. Thank you. Well, he'll have more names than Apollo Creed by the time he's done. That's a joke if you know it. But anyways, Seth Freakin Rollins. Do you think he was like orchestrating at least El Grande taking out CM Punk? He'd rather have El Grande in there, right, than CM Punk because of the personal animosity going on with the Wise Man since WrestleMania. If you'll remember, this goes back quite a bit, but CM Punk had like the support of the Wise Man and lost it to Seth Freakin Rollins. They turned on him during the WrestleMania match, I believe.
They did. Yep.
So, sorry, I get my dates confused because so much happens.
There's a lot of coming at us, and
There
we want to
is,
be
there
accurate and try to keep up with all this stuff on top of other stuff.
Yeah, ultimately, I guess I want to say I'm not surprised that CM Punk lost this match because I think he has his sights set on maybe a different feud, and that might be a dance with John Cena.
Yes.
Because John Cena's going on this farewell tour, and he's kind of running the greatest hits.
Yes.
And he and CM Punk
have
a long history, and I think it's setting up for a time where they could get that resolved. And Seth Rollins is feuding with everyone, so he'll always be there for CM Punk in the future, but John Cena won't be.
Right.
So I think this is kind of leading to that, and we'll just leave it at that for now.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for the Money in the Bank matchup, and again, we will come back on Friday with our predictions for this matchup. I'm excited. Nika, one last note about this matchup is I want to take people back to that moment where CM Punk was trying to unmask El Grande Americano in the match, because there's been rumors and chitter-chatter on the social media sites for months now that El Grande Americano, the man behind the mask, is potentially someone named Chad Gable.
Who is Chad Gable?
I'm unfamiliar with Chad Gable.
Okay.
As I said, Royal Rumble, not a lot of history here, still learning. Lots of people on the roster these days, lots of leagues,
Well,
people getting promoted. Got to keep up with it all, keeping up with the Joneses. But
maybe Chad will let us know who he is.
Chad is lending some clues here in this tweet. He said, really, really proud of this guy. That kind of came out of nowhere. Even though I did have to borrow him my boots, which he stretched out last night because the airlines lost his. Big day for both of us Sunday, hombre. Good luck. Why is it a big day for you Saturday?
Because he got his shoes.
Okay.
So it's his shoes.
I'm calling a little slip of the tongue there.
Okay.
Like, why is it a big day for both of you?
Huh? Mystery. More mystery.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to have any true predictions for the matchups on this show, but I am going to predict that El Grande Americano is going to get unmasked on Saturday night during the main event, during the Money in the Bank event. We will finally learn his identity. And who's it going to be, Nika? Is it going to be Chad Gable, or is this a misdirection?
I think it's a misdirection.
Oh, a misdirection.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know who that will be under the mask, but
I don't know much about Chad Gable, but I get the feeling that he's kind of like a borderline heel, like unlikable dude. And, you know, El Grande Americano is known for dirty antics. He hides a metal plate inside of his mask sometimes. In fact, both CM Punk and AJ Styles asked the referee to check his mask before the matchup, and they're dumb because if you ever watch any of these matches, you notice he puts the metal plate in after the match has started. He always slips it in, you know, so they should have known that it wasn't going to be there. They should have had him check the corners or underneath the mat, you know.
Where does he hide it before he puts it in?
I think underneath the mat, the you know, how they can go under and get the chairs and the ladders and the tables. And, yeah, it's hidden.
Okay.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Okay. I don't, it'll be kind of hard to slip it in without taking your mask off.
All right. Well, I'm going to say it is Chad Gable and disagree with you. So we'll see who's right, if it happens even.
If it happens.
Remember this moment. All right, let's flip it again. One last thing to get to because we have this big tag team matchup as well. We talked about it. We hinted at it. But Logan Paul posted, I'm teaming up with the GOAT, John Cena, this Saturday. Don't miss WWE History live on Peacock. The last time is now for John Cena. And the tour continues. Here he is with Cody Rhodes, Jay Uso, and Logan Paul on the poster.
Nice poster.
We'll be back again, like I said, Friday, and give you guys a prediction for this match. But this is kind of where we leave it. You know, Jay Uso, the busiest man in WWE. He's on SmackDown. He's on Raw. He's on pay-per-view. Well, Peacock pay-per-views, as I call them now, because they basically took the place of pay-per-view. Yeah. Nika, I'm getting excited.
Yeah.
I'm getting excited.
It's a busy weekend.
It is busy. And we don't even know what's really on the schedule yet for SmackDown.
No.
So we'll be back on Friday with a little SmackDown prediction episode, if you will. But in the meantime, I want to turn our attentions to Newsweek.
Okay.
And we got a little bit of WWE, like, real news. At least I think this is real news because you never know these days, as we see with some of their press conferences, and, like, ESPN reporters are in the audience, but people are getting slammed through tables, and you just got to wonder, like, should I quote this? Is this real? Like,
is that a normal thing now?
I don't know, but this was contributing sports writer Andrew Ravens, who writes for Newsweek, and the headline reads, WWE scraps plans to make big change to SmackDown. Report. I was unfamiliar that there were changes being discussed to SmackDown, so naturally, as I've been following WWE more and more over the past 4 months, and this article pops up in my news feed, and I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Newsweek. That's like real
Legit.
Journalism.
Yeah.
So
was it spelled the same way or was it spelled different way?
No, it's the real Newsweek.
Okay.
All right. So this was let's get into it. This is the opening paragraph. WWE SmackDown is set to continue its 3-hour broadcast format on the USA Network for the foreseeable future. A notable decision given earlier expectations for the show to go back to a shorter length. This news comes via a recent report from WrestleVotes Radio on Sportskedia's Backstage Pass. So apparently there was some talk that SmackDown would get scaled down from a 3-hour show to a 2-hour show, and that is no longer happening. The article continues. The report states that SmackDown will remain a 3-hour show for the foreseeable future. This marks a shift from what was understood to be the original plan. According to the report, originally the show was agreed upon to move back to 2 hours beginning in June this year. So this was supposed to happen like right now. And that's why this news article apparently came out, because SmackDown wasn't changing, and someone noticed, like, is it still going to be 3 hours? It was supposed to change. Well, apparently it is going to be 3 hours.
They retained their audience.
That's what it must mean to me. I mean, I don't want to get too much into it before we get through the whole article, but, you know, the only thing I can say is anytime there's plans to scale down something from 3 hours to 2 hours, there must be some concern or conflict about whether or not there's enough demand for the product to warrant that much of a schedule. And, well, since whenever this first got talked about till now, that appears to have changed. And I would say that the ratings are drawing really well in the third hour for them to completely abandon this.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are going to continue on the next slide, Nika. It says the continuation of the extended format is reportedly due to the network's positive reception. The primary driver for maintaining the 3-hour runtime is attributed to the USA Network's satisfaction with the program's viewership and overall performance. So, again, can't read between the lines too much here without a lot of information, but it does sound like they were unhappy at some point, right? If they're now happy and keeping, that at some point they were discussing cutting down and were maybe not happy with at least the numbers, the eyeballs, the ad revenue. Those are the things that drive whether or not things stay the same length or get cut down or get canceled completely. All right, I digress. Let's continue. WrestleVotes indicates that the USA Network has been happy with the performance of the show numbers-wise with the added third hour. SmackDown made its move to the USA Network in October 2024, and the 3-hour format has been a consistent feature since its debut on the channel. So this is new for USA Network, and maybe that's why there was some
hesitation
talk about like, wait, do we want 3 hours of wrestling on Friday nights? Well, guess what? They do. Eyeballs and money wins out. And I guess kudos should be given to Triple H and to WWE for, putting out a product that forced their hand.
Right. As a sports network, not network, as a sports entertainment, to retain people's attention for 3 hours, it's a tall order.
It is. You see, it's
in regular
baseball.
Sports.
It's hard, because like I prefer to watch 4 baseball games at once during the beginning because it's a lot more action packed and there's a lot more downtime between pitches. Still, this show moves quick, and even with the commercial breaks, it moves fast.
It does.
I'm not surprised by any of this at all. It sounds to me like USA Network possibly underestimated how popular WWE really is.
Now they figure out they are sitting on a golden goose egg.
A lot of us are learning this, and it's
good for the SmackDown.
It's not a bad product right now. I was a little bit skeptical of the product when we first started watching in January, but I'm fully on board. I've come to enjoy the mic skills, I think we've seen some of these people get elevated, like Seth Rollins, that are great on the microphone. All right. Well, on the next slide, we can see our guy, Triple H, with that beard. This is a change from the show's traditional 2-hour runtime during its many years on other networks, including Fox. The decision to maintain 3 hours aligns SmackDown's length with WWE's flagship Monday Night Raw, which has also been a 3-hour program for over a decade, while NXT typically runs for 2 hours. And I just got to say, Raw's been over about 9:30-ish the last few weeks, it seems like. So I don't know if it's quite 3 hours. There are commercial breaks, so we're not, missing them.
Yeah, it's probably around 2 hours.
But it is a live show, and so sometimes I think maybe things end early. Maybe they go overtime sometimes. I remember back in the day, it used to always go 5 or 10 minutes past 10 o'clock. And, even when I was in high school, Mom would be like, Kenny, it's time for bed.
It depends how much time they take on their mics, whether they get the audience involved. That takes time sometimes.
100%. So, yeah. This is interesting too. Again, they moved from Fox, which is sort of a national TV brand, to USA, which is cable, and it seems like they're doing better than ever. And
that's interesting.
It is interesting, and it makes me wonder how people are watching. Are they buying a SmackDown package of some kind through a streaming mobile app, or are they internationally? I think they do really well on Netflix.
That's the
and this is live on Netflix internationally. It's on USA Network only in the USA. Go figure. Unfortunately, I say unfortunate. No knock against USA Network, but I wish all of it was streaming on Netflix and Peacock and somewhere streaming where.
You don't think USA is a wrestling station?
I don't want a TV provider, like a cable provider. I don't want a bunch of fluff. I don't want a bunch of channels I'm never going to watch. I got enough apps to clog my feed, and YouTube alone is the world's most popular video entertainment platform anyway. So if you're not on YouTube, you're losing. All right. Well, the end of the article says a 3-hour weekly show provides WWE with more television time to develop multiple storylines, feature a larger portion of its talent roster, and present longer, more in-depth matches. So, look, I think this points to possibly, some more names jumping ship to maybe the SmackDown brand from Raw. Raw is pretty crowded with top-level talent right now, so I don't know if that's something that could possibly happen, but I do agree that the roster is really crowded right now, and there is like a ton of time that is needed to even get FaceTime for some of these people. Like you even heard us talking today. Like I don't know some of these names or faces sometimes because I just haven't seen them even since January.
I hope this doesn't go direction of Marvels, where they have too many superheroes and everybody needs a little bit of time on screen, and it never works out.
It never does, and you just can't force characters on an audience that is constantly evolving, and their needs are constantly changing. But it does seem like they are finding some really good characters right now with Seth Rollins and Jay Uso, and you see. We also are missing Roman Reigns right now, and he's going to make a grand entrance. Cody Rhodes just came back, so. There's a lot of top-level talent names. We saw Cody Rhodes on SmackDown last week, Jay Uso on SmackDown, John Cena on SmackDown, Logan Paul. They were all there. The SmackDown, it used to be a roster, and it still is, I think. But it seems like the top-level talent at least will come out and jump on the mic or get into a brawl with their rival at the moment, just for entertainment purposes, for the audience purposes. Like, you can't underestimate how important it is for the Knoxville, Tennessee audience to interact with Jay Uso and do the dance with him. And even though it was only 14,000 people in that arena, all 14,000 of those people probably did the yeet dance and got down.
The hand bobbing, all that stuff. It was all interactive.
And they're going to remember that experience probably, more than half the people that go to a baseball game these days and do the wave. It's just being honest.
Yeah.
You're
not wrong.
All right, let's finish this article out.
Okay.
This can be advantageous for building characters and feuds, leading into premium live events. Again, they have this Friday night is always going to be before Saturday. So I'm curious to see. This is a great opportunity for them to use SmackDown to even add more fuel to the fire for Saturday night. Let's keep our eyes open and see how they use it. However, longer show lengths can sometimes be a point of discussion among WWE fans regarding pacing and content density. Now, I did see some quote-unquote backlash to the 3-hour continuation, and some fans were like...
Marketing.
I don't know. No, this just seemed more like, I don't have time for this in my life. Maybe they're adults with kids that are just too busy and they don't want to watch 3 hours. They'd rather have it be cut down to 2 hours and free up another hour every week of their life. And I just got to say, there's YouTube channels for you to get caught up on, like if something happens, don't skip life for wrestling,
Right.
It's always going to be there. It's a soap opera. It's never ending.
And you can get easily caught up when watching YouTube shorts or watching any segments about wrestling. You're not missing much.
There's a trail
There's
from
always trail,
1960 to here of titles changing hands and drama and manufactured illusional feuds.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, it says for the USA Network, a successful 3-hour block of WWE programming offers a strong anchor in its weekly schedule, likely contributing to consistent viewership and valuable advertising revenue across all 3 hours. The network's reported happiness with the numbers suggests that the extended SmackDown is delivering from a ratings or engagement standpoint. And I'll just want to say, no kidding. No shit, Sherlock, as they say. We talked about this at the start of this. Obviously, if people are if they're changing course here and keeping it longer, that means that they probably outperformed expectations here going into it. They are probably very happy with their purchase right now, and USA is probably going to be one of the hardest to get to let go of this now that they got their hands on it.
Yeah.
And when I was talking about earlier with that international market being able to watch SmackDown on Netflix as opposed to having a TV cable package and needing that USA channel in your lineup in order to be able to enjoy it, the international market's winning, at least in my eyes, as far as the access game goes. But I feel like USA will not give this up. Last sentence here. WWE fans can expect Friday nights on USA Network to continue offering an extended dose of SmackDown action. Perhaps if ratings start to decline, then a change will be made. I don't think it's going to decline anytime soon. I think it might go up.
I don't think it's going to decline. I think there's more and more people interested in it, and it's fun to watch nowadays.
It is fun. It is more, I think, universally friendly than it used to be. And as someone that started watching in January, we'll continue this theme that we started with. I feel like even I've come around. Mm-hmm. I was sort of critical of the product because it wasn't as edgy or as probably, dirty languaged as it was when I was, especially in my, 18 to 20 age range when I was into Stone Cold and The Rock and Triple H and those feuds. And, those guys to me are amazing performers on the microphone. And there was a reason why it was so popular then, is because they had like all these performers align and come to the product all at once. So the fact is, though, that I've come around on Jay Uso and Seth Rollins, and I think Seth Rollins does rival Triple H on the mic. I've come around on like John Cena's heel turn here. It's great.
It is great.
The way he looked at The Rock, and
the moment it
when
happened,
he gave him the it was great television. I cannot deny that. And we got sucked, I think, kind of in around that moment, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can see on the Cena's face the moment he turned heel.
Yeah, we were excited for WrestleMania that night, when they were all out there and Cody Rhodes had to make his decision whether to sell his soul to The Rock or not. And yeah, we'll have to wait and see how all these storylines play out. But SmackDown, 3 hours, not going anywhere. Sorry if you were not wanting that, you lose.
Yeah.
Advertising dollars and revenue win. So this is a win for WWE and its fans for as far as I'm concerned. And I hope they use that time wisely to develop storylines, to flesh out more characters, and to give some of these characters more face time so I know who they are. Because I'm not going out of my way to not know them. Right. It's just their infrequency, I think, that causes like, who's this guy?
And then the writing. When it gets to good writing, you remember the characters better.
100%.
So.
100%. Is the 2 up normal on screen, or is the article still up?
Still article.
You can flip to the 2 up, because I'm going to say goodbye, everybody. That is going to do it for this episode of the Kanika Sports Show. Thanks for joining us on a WWE edition. We wanted to give you our raw reactions. It was really fun. I had a good time, Nika.
Me too.
And I enjoyed the Newsweek article as well, learning and giving crocodile tears to all those 2-hour SmackDown fanboys out there, because it's going to be 3 hours.
Suck it up, buttercup.
A 3-hour tour. All right, everybody. Well, we will be back here on Friday. We'll be talking Major League Baseball. We'll be talking probably something NFL related, and definitely giving you our SmackDown and our Money in the Bank predictions. It's going to be a busy one. Keep your eyes peeled to our channel, the shorts page, the long page, all of it. Adios, everybody. See you Friday.
Have a good one.